and we are now joined by Xavier Wiggins. Xavier, how are you?
Hi, Stuart. Very good, thanks. You?
Yes, very good. I must admit, I thought it was lunchtime. I was getting ready to think I was going for lunch and forgot we had another one. So last one before lunch. So obviously, get a bit to know about you. What's your current occupation?
So I do three main things. I run two little businesses, one in property, one in home working, checking home worker environments on behalf of companies to help employer and employee. That's a startup, and quite a bit of time on Don's Local Action.
Brilliant, and we'll go on to that in a little while for you. What's your first Wimbledon game?
So I was actually on the away terrace, Wimbledon Forest 84-85 with a Forest mate from school. So I was 13, I think, and Wimbledon won, and it felt dead special from that moment. It really did. It was quite a seminal moment, and I think I went to most games for the rest of that season.
Brilliant. Who's your favourite all-time Wimbledon player?
Alan Court.
No question about that. You were very decisive on that.
Yeah, brilliant.
Superb. And out of the current bunch, who's your favourite player at the moment?
I always feel a little bit of extra bond with those that come through the academy. So Will Nightingale, Paul Cullen-Bay, Paul Ossie, just take a special pride in anyone that does come through.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, so going through your manifesto, interestingly, you start off with a song, which I'm quite familiar with. What does Plough Lane mean to you?
Oh, it means something slightly different to what I thought it was going to mean. I was immensely looking forward to it. If it had come off the table for whatever reason over the years, I've said before, I'd have lost a lot of enthusiasm for the club. Plough Lane was everything. It feels like we haven't had that home game for 29 years, and now we're back. But now, over the last few months, it's taken on an even bigger meaning for me. I think that I've seen what a force for good we can be in our community. I knew it before. We've always been, going right back to when I started watching Wimbledon, we've been very strong in the community, winning, I think, back, I remember even Evening Standard community awards back in the 80s. But now we have got an opportunity that is just enormous within our community. So Plough Lane gives us that opportunity to move on to even more exciting things.
So, in terms of, you do a very good description in terms of we break them and make them in terms of rules. It's we're beautifully different, which is a really good way of putting it. You say the whole club's empowered by one-on-one with volunteers, fan ownership, loads and loads of things, and a shiny new ground. What else can we? Have we achieved all we can, or what else can we achieve?
No, there's so much more we can achieve. So, a nationally recognised academy. We've got fantastic people in that academy. On the management and coaching side, I've been lucky enough to speak to a few of them over the last few days and weeks. We've got some real talent. We've got some talent that the biggest clubs in the country, in Europe, would be proud of having, I believe, in terms of on that side, and their ethos, their Wimbledon DNA, that they have, and they encourage the players to have. So we can take that even further. I think at some point we really need to look at training. How can we get it the best possible environment? Let's not take no, we can't do it. Let's find some land, and let's develop the training facility that our club deserves. I think we can be my personal mission is to make us the best community football club in the UK, and I want us to be admired by football clubs the world over for our fan ownership model and for what we can do with that. If we talk to the fans, refresh our aims and our mission, our objectives, get them up in lights, we will bring in everyone behind us aligned with that, and we can achieve great things. I don't like to talk about it in terms of a brand or necessarily a business. I just want us to achieve everything we can achieve that the members want us to do, and we've got to start all of that by asking them, because our last constitution is 2013. Our aims and objectives were back then. Our restricted actions are back then. We've got to freshen it all up, and we've got to create a plan to deliver what the members want.
So we've sort of touched upon that in other interviews in terms of structure and stuff like that. Where do you see that structure? What strategy do you think we need to do? Is it part of the football club board to do that? Is it a Don's Trust board to do that? Or is it an amalgamation? How do we, because you're right, we haven't done stuff for so long. How do we get that moving?
So it feels, for starters, that a lot of people have mentioned that 3 boards is complicated, unnecessarily complicated. Right? Don, it should be an operational board, and then the Don's Trust board. And the Don's Trust board should be all about oversight. We should work with the football club board and basically ensure that they implement what the members want them to do. So in terms of structure, simplifying it, and getting the right skills onto the Don's Trust board. But actually, you know, we've seen by this election, we've got 11 candidates here, all with great skills that they can bring. If our aims are up in lights, we can bring people in to this with loads of different skill sets who can help get things happening, whether they're on the board or not.
So you mentioned in your manifesto you help brilliant people achieve great things. I like stripping away the rubbish I put on that one and try to do a little politics if possible. Do you think politics is involved with stuff sometimes? Is that always gonna happen? How you're quite enthusiastic. How do you get away from doing the political side? Because there always is. I
think you've got to have a really clear vision, and I think that sometimes we do get muddled with it. There's lots of debates, and justifiably so, but we've got to get our vision absolutely clear. And then, look, I will mention Don's Local Action in that context. You know, we have a very clear vision of what we are trying to do to eradicate poverty in our 3 boroughs. And because we have that clear vision, we're able to bring some incredible people along with us to make that vision happen. So, you know, recently we've added an OBE who led a global anti-genital mutilation charity, raised millions, spoke with global leaders. You know, she's come into this because of our vision and because of what it means in our communities, and we've got other massively skilled people like her that have come in. So I don't think it needs. I've been concerned with politics at Wimbledon for a while. I think there are factions, and I think people will take a view of an individual, and I think they won't dismiss it as just a view of that person, but I think sometimes it can get quite personal. And I think we've got some work to do to make sure that we're respecting anyone who's putting in time, effort, and has opinions. We need to listen to those opinions. The survey is absolutely imperative. And we just need to, it doesn't need to be as political as it's felt at times to me. It's more simple. You just decide what you want, put it up in lights, and go in behind it. And sorry if that's cliches, that really is. That sounds terrible. I apologise, but I hope you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. So for people that don't know you, the Don's Local Action Group has been an amazing success. What's your role been in that?
So in peak lockdown, I was kind of doing this for all my day, right? Every day. I had nothing else to do. Property industry fell off a cliff. My startup was only a month or 2 into lockdown, I guess. But so I was doing stall shifts, going to the hub. I'd be at Kings Meadow, which is closest to me. I live in Hampton. I did in the very early days around the hub there. I was going between hubs, going between stores, seeing people, but really putting together teams. The fun bit was, hey, we need a fundraising group. WhatsApp messages go out, and within an hour, you've got 15 people. 10 of them have got fundraising experience for charities, and it's like, wow, the skill is out there. So a lot of it was bringing good people together, hopefully putting them in the right groups, discussing what we should do within that group, making it clear, and then communicating that out to everybody. Now we formed a leadership group a couple of months ago. There are 7 of us on it. We meet regularly, and so I look after, manage sounds the wrong word, but I guess in that structure, everyone on the leadership group kind of comes into me, and I'm probably back to kind of 10-15 hours a week on that. Actually, it's probably a bit more than that, but yeah, it's less hands dirty. I haven't done a shift outside a store for a while, for example.
She must be very proud of what it's achieved. From a personal point of view, it's an amazing thing, and for anyone who thought it was just for lockdown, it's continued massively, which is incredible. I know me personally, I've experienced a volunteer angle because I volunteered for the shop, and there was a lady there that had volunteered for DLAG, and she gave time up for the club, which was like the first time I saw that it could overlap. What do you see? So if you were successful on a Dons Trust board, how can we use that? Because the community is so important. We've always talked about it, but this is a serious link to people that don't know anything about Wimbledon.
I mean, there are so many things we can do with this goodwill now. I think we'll have really made it when this is going to sound really strange, possibly, but when non-Wimbledon fans volunteer for AFC Wimbledon because of what AFC Wimbledon means in its community and as a fan-owned club out in the world of football that is pretty grubby at times, right? If people want to come in to help volunteer with AFC Wimbledon because of that, that would be a really good marker for me. And I don't think we're far away from that.
Yeah. So I'm just going through. So because I want to get through this, there's some really good points in your manifesto. So driving further progress in communication, engagement, and transparency. What does that mean? So transparency, is that in terms of, because sometimes we don't always see what happens within the Don Trust board. Is that transparency within there? Is that within the football club board, the club itself? How do you see that?
I think we can be. I think it's really difficult to be fully transparent as a Dons Trust board, but I think we can be more transparent than we perhaps have been. We are owners. We're all owners of this football club, and I think sometimes we get maybe over paranoid about sharing stuff with the fans. I think that there's no reason why we can't, and we've done it a couple of times recently, actually. I've been really pleased with it, but there's no reason why we can't get a quick, do you know what, we're talking about something, let's get a quick sense check, let's ping a question out to the members to ask about this, that and the other. So I think on transparency, I just think we can generally be a bit more transparent. On engagement and communication as well, that comms keeps coming up, doesn't it? It's improving without a doubt, and that's really good to see. But there's a whole piece of work on getting that better, getting the people in place to do it, and we can't have Dons Trust meetings with 100 people in where 75% of them are white males in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. It's not. That's not how we're going to build that entity to carry out the engagement that I talked about.
That's a good point, because obviously COVID has fast forwarded a lot of things. You talk about your business, that's fast forwarded in terms of people wanting to work from home or basis. How do you see the communication with Dons Trust moving forward? Because COVID has fast forwarded a lot of Zoom meetings and stuff like that. Is that something you want to improve, have a bit of both? How do you see that moving forward?
I think it could be. I think if you bring people along with your vision, I think more people are going to want to be involved. Zoom in many ways is making it easier. Isn't it great that we can now speak to the Swedish Dons about stuff and how they view the club and what extra support they'd like, because we can just get on a Zoom, get whoever's looking out for this on the football club board or the Dons Trust board and speak to them. Maybe there are older fans who we need to look at who would struggle to get to meetings that we can talk to about what we can do better. We can engage with disability groups better, perhaps. You know, it's easier than getting to Plough Lane on a Thursday night. So I think we should embrace the technology, have more conversations with more people, and use it as part of the process for getting the club to where we want it to be.
Brilliant. Final question from me. So we've got quite a few questions for you. So working on a match day experience is something that struck out for me, one of my aims. I know you like your match day. I've stood near you many a time.
Yeah.
But what should the match day experience like? And I mean that in terms of we're looking for new fans. We've moved to a new stadium, big ground. What's the match day experience for you need to be?
Well, I'm only a very small part. My group, my mates with their mindset are a very small part of this, right? We've got to ask what is going to get all of those kids who were standing in the middle of the chem flow, who lived around Kingston, how are we going to get them to Plough Lane? Literally, how are we going to get them there? And then how are they going to enjoy it when they're there? And the only way of finding out what they want is by asking them. All the various groups that are involved. You know, some people want to sit down, they want to have lunch, they want to chat. So we've got to make sure the environment is right for them. We just got to think of all the different groups that should be coming to Plough Lane. How are we going to make all of these new people that we're meeting in the community that are now engaging with the Wimbledon brand, that are coming up to shops and leaving stuff on tables? How are we going to get them to take their first step? I mean, I used an example recently. The couple that came up to me when I was standing outside Wimbledon Station on a Monday evening in the rain, leafleting for the Plough Lane Bond, who had never been to a football match, certainly never been to a Wimbledon match, had moved to the area from up north, and said they were getting season tickets because of what they could see was happening, and that we were a community club and they needed something to feel part of, because they wanted to meet people, they wanted their family to be part of the community. So we've got to think about how we bring those people in.
Yeah, brilliant. Cool. George, questions, please.
Yes, we've got loads of live questions. Thank you to everyone for sending them in. First question, off the back of DLAG helping people obviously all across South London, do you think the Dons Trust should look into setting up a fund to help fans who have fallen on hard times be able to attend matches?
Yeah, absolutely. If the idea is there, then let's get a group together of people. Let's have the first conversation and take it from there. See if it's viable.
Another question. Obviously, with all of the sort of what kicked off the Plough Lane Bond, which you were involved in, and everything else, the restricted action at the moment, the threshold for that is 75%. What do you think about that? Do you think should we raise it? Should we lower it? Or is it about right?
I think we need to be careful not to make it a 51 v 75 argument. I think what we need is fan ownership. That needs to be enshrined in statute. It must never be harmed. Does that need to be 75 for that to happen? Does it need to be 51? If and I'm only asking this, if it's 51 and we're able to do all the other great things like build a better academy, like have better players, do more stuff on the pitch, make a bigger community club, etc., then we should look at that. We should discuss it, and we should do what the fans decide. But I'm not hung up on numbers. I am hung up on fan ownership.
Okay, a question from somebody says, what could the club do to improve communication with disabled supporters?
I think we've got to ask them. We've got to ask the disabled fans. We've got to say what is, we've got to ask them the question. So it's the same with so much of this. I don't mean to pass the buck, but I'm not a disabled fan. I don't know how difficult stuff is. I don't know what they get, what communication they're getting at the moment beyond what I see. So we've got to ask them, and we've got to work our damnedest to go and put it into practice.
Okay, 3 more questions. What do you think the role of the Dons Trust Board is in relation to the members and the football club?
So we are representatives. That is incredibly important. Our individual opinions should be less important. We are representatives of the membership, and we should be an oversight board. So simple as that. That means that we need the right skills on it. But but yeah, we need change, and we do need it. We need it now, and we've got to work bloody hard to get that right.
Okay, what do you think the Dons Trust does well at the moment?
I just have massive respect for anyone that sits on it and gives their time to do that. I think my feeling, and I don't know if it's accurate, my feeling is we've got a better board than we had. I think we've probably got a more challenging board than we might have had in the past. So I've got a lot of faith in a lot of people that sit on that board to make sure that we don't let things slip through as much as we might have done in the past. And we've all learned some pretty ugly lessons, haven't we? So yeah, I think they represent the members pretty well, but we've got to talk to them more.
Last question from me. What will you do personally to work well with existing board members?
So I was sitting there this morning listening to all the hustings, and I just sat there thinking, well, they all speak so well. There's so much in all of their manifestos, and there's 11 candidates that wouldn't let us down, I don't think, if they're sitting on the Dons Trust. So we've got to make sure that we, whoever gets on, we've got to talk with them. We've got to hopefully they can give their time. Hopefully we can give our time if we don't get on. Yeah, we've just got to make sure that we're using the skills that are available more than we have done. There's too much of a football club over there, fans over there thing. We've got brilliance amongst our supporters, and we've got to use it better.
Thank you. That's all we've got time for.
Brilliant.
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for putting it together.
Thank you.
Xavier, thanks very much for joining us, and good luck in the
Thank you.
forthcoming elections. Okay.